Long before Columbus set foot in the New World, before the rise of the Aztecs or the great European cities of the Middle Ages, an advanced civilization thrived in the heart of North America. It was larger than London, more sophisticated than many of its European counterparts. Yet today, few have even heard its name. This is the lost city of Cahokia. Around the year 600 AD, a great city began to rise along the Mississippi River near modern-day St. Louis. By 1100 AD, Cahokia was the largest city in North America, with a population of over 40,000 people, larger than medieval London or Paris at the time. The city was an economic, religious, and cultural powerhouse, with a vast network of trade routes stretching from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico. Cahokia's people were skilled farmers, engineers, and astronomers. They cultivated vast fields of maize, developed sophisticated irrigation systems, and built towering structures that still puzzle archaeologists today. But what made Cahokia truly remarkable was its urban planning, a feat rarely seen among ancient civilizations in North America. At the heart of Cahokia stood Monk's Mound, the largest prehistoric structure in North America. This enormous earthwork, rising over 100 feet high, required more than 15 million baskets of soil to construct. It was taller than the pyramids of the Maya and likely served as the seat of power for Cahokia's ruler, a spiritual and political leader who governed this massive city-state. The city itself was carefully designed. Wide plazas were surrounded by elevated platforms and ceremonial structures. Archaeological evidence suggests the people of Cahokia held large-scale gatherings, rituals, and feasts, possibly to unite different communities under a shared culture and belief system. But Cahokia wasn't just a ceremonial center. It was a place of science, technology, and astronomical discovery. One of Cahokia's most fascinating discoveries was Woodhenge, a series of massive wooden posts arranged in a perfect circle, similar to England's Stonehenge. But unlike its European counterpart, Woodhenge was built for an entirely different purpose. It was a solar calendar, designed to track the movements of the sun, helping Cahokians determine the seasons, mark equinoxes and solstices, and even guide their agricultural cycles. Imagine standing in Cahokia over 1,000 years ago, watching the sunrise perfectly aligned with one of these great wooden posts. To the people of Cahokia, this was not just a scientific achievement. It was a spiritual experience, deeply intertwined with their beliefs about the universe and their place in it. By the 13th century, Cahokia began to decline. By the year 1400, it was completely abandoned. What happened? How could a city of such power and influence vanish almost without a trace? There are many theories, none of them definitive, but all intriguing. Some historians believe Cahokia suffered from environmental degradation. The rapid deforestation required to build its mounds, homes, and stockade walls may have exhausted the local ecosystem. Without enough wood for fuel and construction, and with farmland becoming depleted from overuse, the city may have struggled to sustain its massive population. Others point to climate change. Scientific studies of tree rings and sediment layers suggest Cahokia may have suffered from a series of prolonged droughts, devastating crops, and making survival increasingly difficult. The Mississippi River, which once provided a steady source of water and trade, may have flooded unexpectedly, displacing entire communities and leading to food shortages. There is also evidence of conflict. Archaeologists have found traces of violent uprisings, human sacrifices, and mass graves. Toward the end of Cahokia's reign, a massive wooden wall, a defensive palisade, was built around the central mounds, suggesting the city was under siege. Could Cahokia have been torn apart by internal strife or attacked by rival tribes? Or perhaps the answer lies not in a single cause, but in a perfect storm of events. Environmental stress, resource depletion, social unrest, and shifting climate patterns. that together led to the fall of North America's first great city. Today, little remains of Cahokia beyond the great earthen mounds that once formed its skyline. Most of its structures, made from wood and clay, have long since disappeared, eroded by time and weather. But the remnants of Cahokia still whisper its story to those willing to listen. Cahokia is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site, yet it remains largely unknown to the general public. Unlike the pyramids of Egypt or the temples of the Maya, Cahokia does not stand in the popular imagination as a symbol of an ancient empire. For centuries, its significance was downplayed, ignored, or simply forgotten. Why? Because history is often written by those who leave behind great stone monuments, vast empires, and written records. Cahokia had none of these. But does that mean its achievements were any less remarkable? For too long, the history of North America before European contact has been overlooked. We are taught about the Romans, the Greeks, the Chinese dynasties. But what about the great civilizations of the Americas? What about Cahokia? Cahokia challenges the narrative that Native American societies were simple, primitive, and disconnected from the rest of the world. In reality, they built cities, engineered complex societies, and engaged in vast trade networks stretching thousands of miles. The people of Cahokia were not isolated. They were part of a larger, thriving world, one that existed long before Europeans set foot on this land. And yet, despite all that we've uncovered, so many questions remain. Why was Cahokia abandoned? Did its people assimilate into other indigenous cultures? And what other forgotten civilizations might still be waiting to be discovered beneath the soil of North America? Perhaps it's time to rethink what we know about history and rediscover the echoes of the past. Do you think Cahokia's disappearance was a natural decline, or was it something else? Let us know in the comments below.